Welcome to clickmyproject.com. Let me discuss about a framework for learning comprehensible theories in XML document classification. Here, extracting the data from the XML root-test dataset, using the dataset to find the knowledge representation attributes, and then the method used to predetermine the set of attributes. The type of representation defines the frequent pattern for easy understanding about the extracted data. To the extracted data from data repository, propose the data-driven approach for XML. Using this data-driven approach, we have to driven the data from the XML dataset. After getting the element and values using the data-driven approach, we classify the XML dataset into classes and we construct the semi-char. After we constructing the semi-char structure, and then we perform a query processing to construct the tree for each knowledge attribute values. In data flow, first we going to import the author paper dataset. Here author paper dataset is root-test news group dataset. After importing the author paper dataset, the dataset has to be pre-processed here. The dataset has to be pre-processed. After that, the pre-processed dataset has to be classified here, and then we going to importing the classified dataset into data repository. And then from the data repository, we using the data-driven approach method to view a hierarchical tree structure in a classified dataset, and then from the classified dataset we going to generate a classes. After that, we importing the multiple XML. In that, the classified XML files has to be imported here, and then calculating the support threshold value for each multi XML files, and then to view a semi-char structure for each classes, and then to process a query process here, to perform a query process to getting the final tree structure. Using the query process to getting a each element tree structure is the final steps here. Let me start the execution of the program. First, here we going to import the root-test dataset, which is a real-time dataset. Here we selecting the news group root-test dataset. After importing the dataset, and then we going to pre-process the dataset. Here we giving the name for that. After giving the name and then clicking the pre-processing, the XML document stored for the feature extraction in the appropriate path. After that, we going to select the pre-processed dataset here. Here we going to import the pre-processed dataset which is stored in the appropriate path. We giving a name like PRE. So here we selecting the pre-processed dataset. After that, we selecting the pre-processed dataset. Here we just view the classified dataset. The pre-processed dataset has to be classified into a groups. Here we importing the classified dataset documents which is stored in the news group folder. Here importing the news group classified dataset. After importing the news group classified dataset, here we are going to view the elements of that. After we viewing the elements of the news group elements, next here we view the hierarchical tree structure format for the classified dataset. The elements are retrieved from the data repository using the data-driven approaches. Here we view the each values of the classified dataset hierarchical tree structures. After viewing the hierarchical tree structure format, here we loading the classified dataset into the data repository. After that, we getting the XML elements values, the records values and the group values has to be visible here. And then here we just view the multi XML files. What are the multi XML files has to be inputted here, like news 1, news 2, news 4 and news 5. These files has to be inputted as a classified XML dataset files. After that, we just calculating the grouping patterns. Here we classifying the grouping patterns. Here we are going to grouping the each classified patterns. Here we select starting the grouping. Here the XML datasets are start to classified. Here we selecting any one of the group like that. Here we just proceed that button. Here it shows the XML news group names and the number of providers in that group, and then the grouping patterns. After that, we selecting the next one. Here we just selecting that. In the format, we going to calculating the each grouping patterns has to be classified in that format also. And then to classifying the each group has to be, we have to classify it in that. After classifying the each group, here we view the semi-tar view for the each class. Here we have going to view the each class semi-tree structure. Here it shows the number of records. In that records it shows the path name and the message ID, subject value, and then here the organization name and the protocol name also be stored in that. The XML document contains these values: path, subject, message provider, and then the organization name, and then message ID, and then the date and the organization and the protocol values. These things has to be visible here. After we view the semi-tar view, and then we calculating the cosine similarity. Here we calculating the cosine similarity for each classes. After calculating the cosine similarity values, here we going to calculating the support threshold. For class 1 containing the 18 records, class 2 containing the 19 records, class 3 16, class 4 25 records, and then class 5 contains the 18 records. So in that format we have to calculating the support threshold value for each group. Here we perform the query processing. Here we just select any one of the group and then just click the query process. Using the query process to get the class values. The class values, the group 1 contains the 18 records. The 18 records values path value from the username and the new group name, and the subject value and the message ID value and date value, and then organization value, NTP protocol value, and line. Here we get calculating the weightage and then cosine similarity and support value has to be displayed in the query processing format. Here we going to select any one of the class attribute. Here first we going to query processing to construct the tree. So here we select any one of the attribute value. Using this attribute value we construct the tree format, and then we calculating the each node we calculating the tree. In the same way we construct a tree for each attribute values. The XML document contains lot of elements. In a such way we easily classify the document and construct in a tar view for each element. It helps us to find what are the elements are available in our document. Thank you.